Welcome back to New Rockstars. Are we going to see a Deadpool and Wolverine sequel coming up on the Marvel calendar? And would it be a Deadpool and Wolverine and Gambit? 2 ampersands? Ampersand squared? Is that where the MCU is headed? If people want to make money, it seems like that's the path to take. Welcome to the Sneak Peek,
the weekly show at New Rockstars where we talk about the future of fandom with your hosts Jessica Clemons and Erik Voss.
Hi, everybody. So Deadpool and Wolverine, perhaps the biggest movie of 2024, and I'm sure Marvel Studios is going to want to replicate that sometime in the future. And we've gotten little bits and pieces and winks toward the possibility of that. And we're going to go through everything that we've heard about the possibility of a sequel and just talk about, like, if we were to see a Deadpool and Wolverine sequel, A, do we want that? And B, if we're going to get it, what would we want from it?
Would it be called To the Third or To the Second Degree? Or would it be called And Gambit?
Just And Gambit?
Gambit. Deadpool and Wolverine and Gambit. And it's drawn in. They wrote And Gambit. Do we want a sequel? Would this count as his origin? Or would this close out the origin that he already had?
There's a lot of different ways you could look at it, because Deadpool and Wolverine did not feel like the capper to a trilogy of the previous 2 Deadpool films. And the more you hear Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds talk about it, that was not their agenda. The fact that they were able to get Hugh Jackman to do this was almost miraculous for them. And it seems like they were almost like just ideating their dream project, almost disconnected to the first 2 Deadpool movies. Yes, it touched on his past with Vanessa and some familiar faces return, but was this the end of a trilogy? Was this the Deadpool trilogy's Return of the Jedi? Was this, the Deadpool trilogy's Dark Knight Rises? No, not really. Yeah. So if anything, it feels like a spinoff to a new trilogy, or it's just something that it could be its own kind of run of like team up stories, whether or not it's Deadpool and Wolverine. It could be a third person, a third wheel, or it could be Deadpool and someone else, or someone else and Wolverine.
That'd be fun.
Like it seems like Ryan Reynolds, his biggest gift is to kind of show the MCU like another way to do buddy team up comedies, and some of their most successful stories have been kind of like buddy comedies. Yeah. Thor Ragnarok was kind of like a buddy comedy.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I could see that. I would like to see how much he could be Deadpool and someone else.
Yeah.
For the entirety of his 616. Well, he's not in 616, right?
He's back in 10005,
okay.
and they are still alive in that universe, and that universe is like better than ever, I guess was the implication of the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's weird because
it now can breathe. It's now surviving. It's actually thriving now. It's going forward as a great
B-15
chapter.
is like, it's too healthy.
Yeah. Wow, we need to dumb this down a little bit.
This was supposed to die, and yeah, it's interesting. If you go back and listen to this awardist podcast that Levy and Reynolds and Jackman did with Entertainment Weekly, you hear Levy almost defensively talking about how it was not our objective to introduce Deadpool to the MCU. Like, we didn't want to do that. What we wanted to do was talk about legacy and to look back at these characters' histories and to kind of pay tribute to that. And I'm like, that is very interesting because all the marketing, the intro of it feels like it's Deadpool acknowledging the Disney of it all. And The Void almost feels like, when you rewatch this movie, feels like it's tacked on. And we've talked about that quite a bit, that like The Void is not something that Ryan Reynolds was like that interested in, that they probably were playing with this idea of development hell. And then Kevin Feige came in and was like, why don't we just make that The Void? And Ryan Reynolds was like, Void, that's from the Loki thing. And then, Brad Winderbaum and Kevin Feige just started to show him all the concept art that they had for The Void. And then Ryan Reynolds made a concession there and was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of the same thing structurally. We can make this work.
Yeah. But they can't go back to the idea of doing the development hell thing.
I think at this point they can't.
Yeah, they can't now, unfortunately. Which would have been very fun. I was more interested in that story than The Void.
One of, before this movie came out, and I think we've forgotten this interview, I believe it was with Empire or Total Film, one of those British publications.
Empire was the one that made us upset with the wording.
Oh, right.
Was it this one?
Yeah. He called it something else. It was like the...
It was valid why people beyond us were also upset, because it gave way to something completely different.
Right. There's like an acronym, and we reached out to the writer, and he's like, no. I made that up.
What was it? I can't remember it. It's not as important.
We'll find it. But yeah, they do talk about how, like, Ryan Reynolds had a ton of different ideas, ton of different pitches for a Deadpool and Wolverine story. Like, it was after Avengers Endgame and Deadpool, it was maybe around the year when Deadpool 2 came out. Avengers Endgame had come out. Fox had completed its sale to Disney for the properties. So Feige was having meetings with Reynolds, and Reynolds had like pitch after pitch after pitch. And what Reynolds really wanted to do was like a smaller Sundance style, just road trip movie, something similar to the scale of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, without a lot of the trappings. The vibe of which sounds similar to me as an Old Man Logan, with that version of Wolverine and a blind Clint Barton going across like a post-apocalyptic landscape. I think that is like a first idea of a story that we could see.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not development hell. It's just like a real like road trip thing. It's just expanding what we saw during the second act of Deadpool.
Yeah, and you want that to come back?
That's like one version that I like. The other version that I like just makes a buddy comedy almost like a triple comedy, 3 Minute a Baby or a Charlie's Angels structure with Gambit, and just teaming them up with Channing Tatum's Gambit. We actually have a clip from the Awardist podcast that we want to play. Let's roll that clip.
I honestly don't know the sort of what goes on behind closed doors in the bookkeeping sessions at Marvel, but I do know that they're obsessed with him in that role, and it's kind of like the same situation I went through. It's like once you show it that it works, well, that's really what they need. They sometimes they just need to see it in action.
Proof of concept.
Yes, it's 100%. And Channing is so singular in how he plays that character, but he's also he's so beautiful physically, the way he moves and the way he can pick up steps.
But there are so many not outtakes, but just different versions he did of those scenes.
He broke me a few times too.
Yes, interesting. And to be clear, Kevin Feige recently said at D23 Brazil, we got this from omelet.com, the plans with Deadpool and Wolverine will always be the same. We're always wondering where we can fit them in and how fast. And how fast is interesting because Ryan Reynolds has said he likes the 6-year time difference to just kind of like take his time with these movies. But Feige, I think, is eager to get him in sooner rather than later.
100%. I think that's a hard thing to feed, or like a hard thing to do. Is Ryan Reynolds was taking his time before, and now he's in the MCU where it's like, oh, we don't really have time.
Yeah,
you have 2 years tops. Like, we need you to put this out as soon as possible. And if he is creatively in control of Deadpool, it'll take much longer than 2 years.
I think he's far more protective of it.
100%.
And but I think once they can agree on a concept, I feel like they shoot those movies fast. Like, he's okay improvising on set and just almost, I don't want to say shooting it on the fly, because they do figure out the beats of that script pretty clear. And the important lines, it's just the jokes that they don't usually nail down in advance. But yeah, I think if you were to add Gambit, it would make sense with that deleted scene of the post-credit scene where Gambit looks up and clearly a sparkle portal is opening up. And it just leads us to the question of who has the sling ring now. And
that's true.
I think we have to assume Deadpool has the sling ring. And that is like another version of the story that we've heard from, I can't remember the source on this, but people were saying there was another version of this script where it was going to be more like Deadpool and Wolverine visiting different vignettes of MCU history.
Oh, that would be, that can come back.
That can
come back, and that would be very fun to enter. Yeah. That would be very fun. And that could easily, I mean, it would not come out before Doomsday, but I'm like, that could have laid them up for something like that, because it's us learning. I think that's what Quantumania kind of did a little well, was like, oh, they're giving us insight to Kang before Kang fully evolves in the MCU. And seeing that storyline play out, I'd be like, oh, we're seeing a lot of the MCU history. We're actually not reconfiguring it, but confirming a lot of things that maybe we didn't remember before. And then it would lead us into Doomsday. But I think even after Doomsday, that storyline could really hold up and play really well. Yeah. But I do think they're going to try throwing him into Doomsday before they.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the math here. Appearances in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. We got to answer that question of why was Thor crying, and we're going to get that answer.
Why Thor was crying?
Why is he crying? I think fans of the Deadpool comics are waiting to see a Deadpool Kills run. So like Deadpool Kills was like, when you think of Deadpool, he kills something. He kills this meta thing. And so when Deadpool and Wolverine, when it was known as Deadpool 3, everyone was thinking it was going to be Deadpool kills the Fox universe.
Yes.
And he doesn't do that. He almost like kind of dips his toe in the Fox universe, but leaves it intact. In fact, by the end of the movie, it's thriving better than ever. So we could still do a true Deadpool kills storyline, where it is like a meta story and he is killing off these other universes, and it feels like it is a spiritual sequel to what we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
And it just kind of picks up the pieces. So it's not like so much of a send-off. He's actually visiting their worlds. You could bring back the 4 members of the Resistance. You could bring back Wesley Snipes' Blade. You could bring back Jennifer Garner, Elektra. We could show what version of Punisher they had. Unless you wouldn't be able to do Ray Stevenson, but you could do like Bernthal's Punisher.
It would be less fun.
Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Oh, Dolph Lundgren would be fun, and he's free.
Yeah, he's free.
He's free. I saw him on Cameo.
He's not free on Cameo.
No, he's not free on Cameo. Oh my God,
Pay up.
That's like $400, and
you will lose money.
You will, and I will get him to say the most heinous things for $400. No, that seems doable too. I like both of those ideas a lot. Yeah, bringing back Wesley Snipes would be insane. I don't know if I want to see it.
Yeah, at what point of Deadpool and Wolverine do you feel like the movie was cooking the most?
Ooh. That's a good question. Ooh. I like how this is taking me a minute, because I'm like, I really love the first step into the TVA. I love that reveal going into the TVA, because we're like, oh, everything we've taken from Loki season 2, what can this mean bigger picture wise? And I think they were cooking there with all the screens and seeing the different flashbacks of even when Thor's crying. I'm like, ooh, they're giving him a lot to play with. But I also love that interjection where they meet the other people from the X-Men franchise that are all bad. I think that was like, ooh, they're cooking. And then they kill Human Torch.
Right, that's the thing. The arrival of Chris Evans as the Human Torch, I felt like we were cooking with gas, and like, immediately gets nerfed.
Yeah.
And then I felt like we're back in Multiverse of Madness, where they show us these characters, and then it's almost like jokes on us for wanting this. Because it means that, like, oh, this is how you're spending the capital. It means we'll never see him again unless he shows up in Secret Wars. But are you going to get him back? It's almost like they can only convince these actors to come back if they're like, no, I want to definitively die on screen.
Yeah, and like, you'll never come back. You won't ever have to come back, except for the fact they didn't kill Hugh Jackman. So it's like,
right. Well,
Hugh, you can run away as much as you want
till he's 90, Jess. Yeah. Till he's 90.
You're gonna come back. You're literally lassoed back. And I know that little curiosity was like, I should come back for my boy Ryan. I should have fun with this. But I'm like, did you think that you're gonna be locked in for another 30 years? Did you think you're gonna be locked in forever now? You're gonna die with us?
Yeah. To me, Deadpool and Wolverine was cooking the most, because The Void, I was excited to see these people show up, and the more I learned about the movie, I realized, oh, you didn't actually get all the actors. You got amazing actors other than, Aaron Stanford as Pyro,
Pyro.
Tyler Mane. Everyone else was a different actor.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you just brought back the version of the character from the Fox movies, but just got new actors to play them. It's like, then it's not as exciting, A. And B, they all get killed off real fast. So it feels like a lesser version of it than like it was even promising to give us from all the trailer footage. So that's why when I look back on The Void, it's not as exciting. I like when they're fighting. Their initial fight, the Hell's Bells, was awesome. I feel like they were cooking during the Huey Lewis in the News montage, because every single one of those elsewhere worlds with other Wolverines, I would have loved to see a whole movie there. Oh, that is true.
That part, I forgot about that part. That part was really good. That part was, they were cooking there.
I think just having that's another place this could go. You could see a Wolverine and Hulk movie and just see that John Byrne universe. Like, I think people would spend money just to live in that world.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. That's the thing, is like, Deadpool and Wolverine really showed that they do kind of care about the comics. They're like, we're more so, they're doing this for the fans. They're like, we know what you read, and we're going to emulate that into this movie just as like a little fun side piece. So I don't know if they'd go fully into the comics and emerge into like the Hulk and Wolverine hanging out, but that would be sick as hell. Bring back Bruce Banner. He ain't doing shit either.
Yeah, I mean, you could have. We've already done X-Men Apocalypse, but we could do a true Age of Apocalypse story.
That'd be crazy.
And I don't know if you could use that title anymore because people would confuse it with the 2016 movie with Oscar Isaac. But we need like a good apocalypse story.
Aren't we going into an apocalypse story in X-Men '97?
Well, it seems like it. We've heard some mixed reports from the former showrunner saying that they've scrapped those plans, but I don't know if those are true or not.
The former showrunner.
The former showrunner. I really don't know. Yeah, so I think there's a world that could exist there. I think I don't think it would be a bad thing just to show, like, now that they have access to all these characters, not everything has to connect from the beginning. Like, if you have a multiverse, give us like a good Old Man Logan story. Like, Old Man Logan is a cool story. You could just have a movie that's set in that universe. I mean, look at what Warner Brothers has done with The Batman. It's just a good singular Batman story that isn't connected to anything.
You just have to wait. You got to just hope that, well, I mean, I don't know what his contract is like. You just got to hope Hugh Jackman wants to come back.
Yeah.
Like, and I would love it. I would eat that up so fast. An Old Man Logan with Hugh Jackman, I would eat that up. But watch Hugh Jackman just be like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I think that's a little bit of the dance and the trick is relying on these characters that you know will come back. Like, put a lot of your money into these characters you know will come, like the actors you know will come back. Ryan Reynolds will come back. He loves Deadpool to the point where it's like his baby. Use all of him as much as you can. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, I don't think we got that much time with him. I think he's willing to be like, no.
Yeah, it seems like Hugh Jackman just really likes working with Ryan Reynolds. He likes working with Sean Levy.
When my family gets together for the holidays, we play games, and the games we play the most are the ones we can just play, you know, like Doomlings! Doomlings is a card game that takes 5 minutes to learn. You're trying to score the most points before the end of the world by playing cards from your hand called traits, and every card has these fun little monster-type guys on them. Every round is called an age. Occasionally, an age will introduce a catastrophe, and the game ends when the third catastrophe strikes. There! Now you know how to play Doomlings. Literally, it's that simple to explain. And the rules are on the cards themselves, so if you forget, you know, Doomlings has you covered. It is so fun. I started playing it with friends over the summer, and I am so excited to show it to my family. The whole game is small enough to toss into a carry-on without losing any space, making it perfect for a Thanksgiving weekend add-on. You can get Doomlings in retail stores like Walmart or Target, but if you scan the QR code or click the link in the description and use code Rockstar20, you'll get 20% off your order at doomlings.com.
Is Sean Levy insane?
I assume he takes the craziest projects.
I'm just like watching this guy in interviews. I'm kind of like,
oh no, I think he's just a weird interviewer.
Insane?
I think he's just a weird interviewer.
He's got this like Gavin Newsom quality.
Yeah.
That we in California see all the time, and it's just like our brand, our flavor of psycho. That we're like, yeah, this is.
That is the perfect example of what he is in interviews, because he is that. I never thought about. No, it is 100% shot for shot Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, you feel like you're in good hands a little bit, but also this guy might be taking us to the moon right now. Is he building a rocket ship for all of us to be in?
You're giving us a lot of too much leeway. I'm like, what is going on here? You're promising us the world, and he's like, and I'm gonna give it to you.
I've never seen Sean Levy and Gavin Newsom in the same room at the same time.
Oh my God. It's so funny. Before Deadpool and Wolverine at the IMAX screening, it was actually Gavin Newsom talking. That's insane.
It's just the vocal fry that Gavin Newsom has is just an acquired accent that he uses when he's playing his governor role.
That's so funny. Sean Levy's probably like, I've never been more happier to be.
He's just too happy. Does he not look at the world that we live in?
Well, I also think to be fair, I think that's a director's job. I think you have to be a little insane to be a director in Hollywood, because you have to keep up that momentum for 4 months with 1 million people all the time. And I'm like, I would feel more comfortable if you were a mean director that was just like sad and hated life at this point. Because I'd be like, oh, I understand. Every day you have to deal with us. Him, he's just like, let's go, and it's the hardest scene of your lifetime.
I think to project that confidence, that vision, that energy, and that enthusiasm is like an understated need for directors working now, especially in big IP like Marvel. If you are just like a director of photography, a craftsman who knows how to set up a shot, that's not enough. You got to work with big personalities, big studio head egos. I recently saw an Ethan Hawke talk at probably some USC lecture where they're like, hey, give this guy a mic. And then 17 minutes later, they're like, he's still talking. But Ethan Hawke, I think, is a very smart man. And he was talking about how in film schools, a lot of the professors are kind of lecturing on the importance of cinematography and talking about how the importance of shot composition, of mise en scène, of lighting, of focal depth, and all this stuff. All of it, a very, very important science that not enough directors now understand. But he was saying that, like, perhaps more important is an understanding of actors and egos and human personalities on a set. Because he said, why is it that you see so many actor turned directors and not a whole lot of DP turned directors? And my answer to him, if I were in that, would be like, money. Actors are overpaid in Hollywood and just have hundreds of millions of dollars to be like, I want to direct my thing. But I think the point he was making was that a big part of the director's job is to just understand the energy of actors on a set
100%.
and how to get a great performance out of them. And there are a lot of directors of photography who just think about the visual and think about how this actor is going to fuck up their visual by being sloppy. Ugh. But like good directors know how to embrace that slop and make something beautiful out of it.
And I think Sean Levy has had the most work in this field. He's worked with so many different crowds and different people that I'm like, no, I think he's just really good at juggling these Hollywood stars. Like, especially, I'm not trying to be this person, but Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, oh my God, I would probably be so irritated with them after the third day. I'd be like, okay, Hugh Jackman said he wanted only green Skittles for some fucking reason. Like, I'd be so irritated, but I'd be like, we got to keep this dance. Yeah. We got to keep this dance. Also, I'm still the director. Please don't take this entire thing by the wheel, the steering wheel.
I think that's why you have seen success from directors like Ryan Coogler and even like the Russo brothers, who both of these teams or whatever have their own visual style, but just understand human nature
100.
In a very deep way, and knew the range of performances they wanted to get out of their cast, and knew that it was kind of in a certain dimension a play that you're just figuring out how to dynamically capture in the frame.
100%. Ryan Coogler is amazing at it.
He's very good
to be
at
fair,
it.
he does work with a lot of the same actors, and I probably because of that reason, he's like, it's easier. They understand what I want from them. They know what to pull. But that man had to, for Wakanda Forever, was like, hey, I know every single human being here is sad, but we got to keep this going. I know that I just changed the script. We're going to change it one more time, and everyone's going to be happy about it. Everyone got COVID. We'll come back in 2 weeks. Everyone be okay about it. What? A tweet went where? Don't forget about it. Let's keep going. That man got so many curveballs thrown his way, and he kept dancing.
And I think, what does it say about him that all of these actors want to work with him? Big, like specifically in this Ethan Hawke interview, he talked about Denzel Washington and how Denzel Washington loves to kind of screw with directors, and he'll ask why. Directors will be like, all right, so you walk into this room, and Denzel will just be like, why does my guy want to do that?
I would strangle myself.
Right. And he does to do it because I feel like Ethan Hawke's point was that directors need to have that why. They need to have thought about the scene from every different character's point of view so that they can communicate that information to the actors so they have that subtext and that want, that action, that motivation. So Denzel's like, audience, and Ethan Hawke said, audiences are smart. They're smarter than we give them credit for. And if we don't have that why, they're going to sit there in the theater and be like, why is she going up there? Like, why is he doing that? So like the actor needs to be able to he doesn't need to improvise logic for his decisions, but he needs to emotionally convey that so audiences don't question it.
That makes sense. I think, I am in film Hollywood, but I think even without being in Hollywood, my pet peeve in movies is I'm like, what's the justification? I'm like, why would you do that? And I hope I'm not to the degree Denzel Washington is walking into a room. Why would you open the left door instead of the right door? But I am a person that's like, why would that character do this? I need to understand why this character would handle the situation talking to this character before that character. Like, I don't know. So I get it, but Denzel would scare the shit out of me, and I would
for sure.
throw myself off a bridge.
But, and again, what does it say about Ryan Coogler that Denzel is now in interviews saying, like, Ryan Coogler's writing me a role in Black Panther 3? Like, Denzel Washington is perhaps the best, if not top 5 actors alive right now in terms of just talent. Yeah. The fact that you have egos like he must have and Angela Bassett must have, and Ryan Coogler knows how to work with that and get something brilliant out of that. I assume he will for Black Panther 3.
He's an artist.
It's just like something that I think we talk about this stuff a lot on YouTube, but we don't always appreciate this.
No, 100%.
The role of the director. We think of the director as like a visionary and not as someone who is like like a communicator, a people person, a team captain.
Yeah. There's a reason why there's like, even if it's like one doing a lot of the roles or doing a lot of the movies, like we're only using Ryan Coogler as an example, but even if Ryan Coogler was directing a lot of movies at once, it's a reason. It's because he's just so good and amicable about doing that on set. But that's also me. I was like, I've always looked at a director in Hollywood and I've been like, I can never. Yeah. I could never. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. My patience. This then.
I think I don't want to criticize Chloe Zhao because I think she is a brilliant visionary and a director and clearly knows how to put together a coherent film from Nomadland. But I think the project of the Eternals was not something that was clearly, like, all the actors were coming at that film from a different
100%.
perspective. They were not on the same page.
100%.
And I just think that's more of a criticism of the project itself than of the director. I just think that she wasn't the right director for that project.
Did Chloe come from a DP role before directing?
Yes.
I was like, that's why also the films always are so beautiful. I will say that about Eternals. Those angles,
stunning.
Give me gorgeous.
The way Makari's movement works is unparalleled in terms of speedsters in the MCU.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say Evan Peters in the Fox Days of Future Past looked very cool, but I don't think Quicksilver in Age of Ultron did not look as cool as Makari did in
100%.
Eternals.
Same with I don't have to say this, but the Flash. I'm like, I don't really I'm not seeing any artist, or not. It's not artistry, but I'm not saying. Yeah, those arms. What the? Who let them do that? Who was like, you know
Zack
what?
Snyder.
How about you run like a goddamn cartoon? How about you run like Bugs Bunny, running at full speed?
Jessica, you were criticizing an Oscar fan vote sequence
The
in
fact that you
Zack
had to
Snyder's
say fan
Justice
vote.
League.
Also, people watching right now, and they know me, know that they can't come for me for Zack Snyder because I have a soft spot in my heart for Sucker Punch and always will. And always will. I love Sucker Punch. So I'm like, I'm with Zack Snyder from the beginning.
Yes.
This was a monster show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Zack Snyder, what I feel like we're back in 2017 talking about Zack Snyder.
Have to defend and fight him at the same time.
Like, there's a lot you could say about him, but the casts that he works with understand what he is trying to
100%.
achieve. And I think that speaks to his ability to communicate to them
100%.
what he's trying to achieve. Now, there may be some disconnect sometimes between Zack Snyder and the audience,
100%.
Or Zack Snyder and every audience. But that's just a different discussion. We have people
Evan
currently
is
leaving the studio.
leaving the
like,
studio.
I can't.
Snyder Stan. Snyder Stan.
He loves it.
He won't stop talking about Michael Bay.
I think every successful director has been successful because they have that ability to communicate their vision to their
100%.
team. And I think any director who's made a movie that has been financially successful with the actors walking away from it feeling good about it and wanting to promote it, that is a miracle. And I will never knock any successful director just because they're successful and there's something about their aesthetics that doesn't connect to everyone on Twitter,
100%.
So I can watch a Michael Bay movie from Transformers to before that The Rock, Bad Boys, and very much enjoy myself.
I enjoy myself. I can see the disconnect between Michael Bay and the actors most of the time. I see that. It's so interesting when you start watching the directors because I loved Bad Boys and Transformers from such a small age that I realized I watched a lot more Michael Bay films than I probably watched like Zack Snyder films. And I was like, there is a disconnect with him and the women that he has acting in his movies. And I was like, but also with the men, but the men can't be the leads. Does that make sense? It has to be like, because like in Bad Boys, I'm like, no, him, Martin Lawrence, and Will Smith, they know what they want from each other. But this guy that's the bad evil guy in the first Bad Boys, I don't think he understands. Sure.
I think it really changes movie to movie.
You
can watch Armageddon, and it seems like Buscemi and Owen Wilson know what they want to do in that movie. Bruce Willis kind of gets it. But
Bruce Willis kind of gets it.
Famously, Ben Affleck. Listen to the Ben Affleck's commentary on Armageddon. He asked Michael Bay, this classic actor, why. He said, why would it be easier for NASA to train oil drillers to be astronauts to go to this asteroid and drill rather than just teach astronauts how to operate some specialized drilling equipment? And Michael Bay's answer was, off, and that's where
Please
it ended.
do a deep dive on Armageddon.
One day we will do.
Armageddon is one of the classics. It is one of the messes.
A bay down. What do we want to call it?
A bay down is kind of
Baywatch?
good.
I think we got the Baywatch.
That it writes itself at this point. It writes itself at this
I'll
point.
be ready. Run. Now we're bringing it full circle.
I love that. Yeah, we're gonna do a Baywatch. Erik is doing it on the deep dive, and I genuinely cannot. I'm gonna watch the Armageddon one 4 times, guaranteed. Oh baby.
So this started as a conversation about what we want to see from a Deadpool and Wolverine sequel, but we ended up. This is one of the things I love about Sneak Peek with you, Jessica, is we end up shifting into like just a deeper conversation about what goes into these movies and the craft, because I think you and I at least have a bit of insight into how these movies are made, and to be able to make these predictions most accurately as we sneak our peeks into the future, we kind of have to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, 100%.
And what we want from our sausage.
What we want first, and if that sausage is even good. I'm only saying that from the Hollywood perspective of like, I've worked in TV, and I've watched directors work in TV, and I was like, oh, this is hard. Not even this is hard. It's like different directors, different creative pools, different aspects, what they want. So I'm only speaking from like that behalf of like, I've seen this part. I haven't been a director in Hollywood except for like in digital, and let me tell you, I did not do a good job. I knew the crew, I knew the cast, best friends with them. I said, I think that was good. I think we can move on. Jessica, that was one take. I think it was good. I think it was fine. But no, we come with these pools that I think are very important, and it still plays into like, if they did make a sequel, how would they go about it? Is it Sean Levy? It has to be. It can't not be at this point.
It depends what version of this project you want to be. If you want it to be Deadpool Kills, it doesn't have to be Sean Levy.
No,
if you want to pair Deadpool with anybody else, even if it's a Deadpool and Gambit, but if it, I kind of feel like I want to see what the next director is that's not Sean Levy who does this.
Hey, well, that's also the thing. It's not, if we don't want Sean Levy, Matt Shakman is already doing Fantastic Four. What's his name is with something else. The Russos are now doing the other part. It seems like they're also kind of going backwards. They're like, oh, we're going to go back to our traditional directors, then like keep going out to new ones.
I'd be curious to see the Daniels do.
Oh my God. It would be still very comical.
It would be funny. It would be fast paced. It would be action heavy. I think the Daniels won their Oscar for Everything Ever All at Once, are directing a couple episodes of Skeleton Crew.
I'm very excited to see
what
their
else are they
Skeleton Crew.
doing? Like, they won the Oscar and like are picking their battles, and I just find that very interesting.
That is very interesting. I am excited to see their episode of the Skeleton Crew because I want to see more of their work. I think I've only seen 2 of their things, and I'm like, yeah, one's very comical, one was also still comical. I think Skeleton Crew can still be very funny, but I want to see how they choose a space thing like this. This is only in space, and it's children. So I'm like, let me see what this is gonna look like.
Yeah. As of this taping, I've watched the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew. I very much enjoy it. It is like Goonies and like Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Isn't
Drew Law
Curse of the Black Pearl. I would say its opening is a very pirate,
so sweet.
And it feels like, in a way, classic Star Wars, in that it's the scum and villainy of Star Wars. It gets a little like less Goonies and Stranger Things. Like, so
less Goonies, more Stranger
no, it becomes more Stranger Things. So Stranger Things is derivative of Goonies, of the 80s Amblin stories. Goonies felt like Richard Donner, Amblin, Spielberg, kind of like they cussed. They said bad things. They did bad things. Mouth, Corey Feldman, says some horrific things that was cut out of the TBS version of the Goonies when you watched it on TV. But it felt like authentic, whereas Stranger Things season 1 felt fairly authentic. Future seasons felt kind of derivative a bit more. So there are moments where Skeleton Crew feels just a little soft around the edges, and because it's Star Wars, like, but you could see them trying to embrace like the little garbage pail kid approach, because they used the Star Wars version of swears in there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. But also, fun. What I'm nervous about, which you might have not seen, and if you did, don't spoil it. Star Wars isn't afraid to kill a kid, and so that's my fear in Skeleton Crew. But I think it's more child watchable than it is. What's his name? Just lighting a saber, and it's implied that he kills a bunch of kids.
You do so far see? You don't see kids die yet.
No,
I don't want to spoil.
If my little elephant.
Kids are in danger a lot in this show, definitely more than Leia was when Flea was chasing her in Obi-Wan.
Look, she didn't even know. She didn't know at that point, but we knew that Flea chasing her was scary as hell.
I mean, if Lee were chasing me, I'd be concerned.
I would be so scared. I would be scared out of my life. I don't want to see the elephant boy get hurt.
Neil, we have to protect Neil at all costs.
And I know
this
he's
kid
gonna
is
get
a
hurt.
gift to humanity, and we have to protect him. Neil is outside honking on a horn. Tell them.
My favorite part is also Neil stopped. He's like, okay, they heard me. Also, watch all these other kids get like cut up or like literally sliced by a lightsaber, and then Neil just like scratches his knee, and I'll be like, get him, help him, protect him, please. It's a little elephant boy.
So the reason we're talking about Skeleton Crew is tomorrow on the new Rockstars channel. You will see in the evening time our Easter egg breakdown of episode 1 and 2, because both episodes are coming out a day earlier than we thought on December 2nd. So you'll be able to see, like the episodes drop on Disney Plus at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So maybe an hour or two after that, you'll see our Easter egg breakdown come out on the channel. Following that, a video I am very excited about that Jessica's working on coming Tuesday to the new Rockstars channel. Would you like to tell us about it, Jess?
Yes, I've heard your demands. I've heard your calls. You guys came, bashed in our office windows asking for a Squabble Up music video breakdown. And I said, oh God, please don't kill me. I'll do it. I said, please, not my children. And then when you exited, I started writing it. So I am very excited to be doing a follow-up to Not Like Us with Squabble Up. It's going to be so good. It's so good. It's a great music video.
There's a lot I do not understand about this, and I'm excited to learn about what everything means.
Yeah, it's so it feels more like Easter eggy and deep reference pulls than Not Like Us, because at least Not Like Us was more against Drake. This is more about the cultural impact, like on California and everybody. So there's a lot of Easter eggs that are very specific to like Ice-T or like the Roots to Isaac Hayes. Like there's just so many little homages that I'm like, no one would have noticed this. No one would have noticed this.
I definitely didn't notice it. Do you think FBI agents will be watching your breakdown looking for possible evidence as they build their case?
You know damn well I hope not, but they will. Absolutely. They're going to use my video to understand it. They're going to be like, wait, I found a video. Click it up. And I'm like, I put it in the hand of the villains.
Also coming this week, at the end of the week, on Saturday, will be our breakdown of the 5th Harry Potter film, Order of the Phoenix. Our breakdown of Goblet of Fire came out yesterday. Watch it. A lot of cool takes from that film. Gina did a ton of research on it. And then Order of the Phoenix, also a very interesting look into that film. And then I think that's all.
You're already on the
now.
5th one.
Yeah, we've been moving fast.
There's only, how many is there?
There's a total of 8.
Oh, there's, okay. Because the last one is 2 parts.
The last one, yeah.
Are you going to do the last one as 2 parts?
Mm-hmm. We'll do Deathly Hallows Part 1 breakdown, and then the following week, Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh my God, we're already almost done?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's been a really, really fun series. A lot of work has gone into them, so we just really appreciate everyone supporting those. And then, before you know it, we'll be on to 2025, and it's going to be a very busy year.
And then you're going to do the Baywatch.
And then we're doing the Baywatch.
And I'm not helping at all with those. But I will be indulging completely.
Well, everyone is like, I thought you were going to do Lost. And I'm like, no, we ended up.
We couldn't find a good nickname for Lost, okay? Baywatch was a lot easier.
I mean, there's so many good nicknames. We could do Voss Gets Lost. That's going to be my pitch for a podcast, or if I were doing my own spinoff.
Voss. I still like Baywatch. I know Baywatch has to be uptaken by like a Michael Bay podcast.
There's gotta be.
There's a fan podcast for Michael Bay movies, and it is absolutely called Baywatch. But if we can get it in time,
I think so. All right, let's end with what we're watching. Anything in particular that you've watched this week that
I saw Wicked now 2 times.
Oh,
and that is it. I saw Gladiator, and I do not like it. I don't hate it, but I also am like, Ridley Scott, what the fuck is this? Ridley Scott, what the fuck is this? And someone was like, well, in the last 10 years, has he made things you like? And I was like, yeah, I like the other Prometheus. Well, Prometheus wasn't 10 years ago. That was more than 10 years.
It was 2012.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it has been 10 years. No, because I like Covenant.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I've been, and I'm going to go see Wicked a 3rd time.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely be seeing it a few more times in theaters for sure. Okay, so last week on the sneak peek, I talked about how we're rewatching Survivor. Now, I've only seen up through season 8 of Survivor. I don't know anything that happens connected to Survivor after the first season of All Stars. I mentioned season 2 of Survivor and how there's a contestant named Mike who burns his hands, and I talked about how he would have and maybe should have won that season. I did not know what Mike did later in his life. I highly recommend you look him up in your own time. I retract anything nice I said about that guy.
Oh my God.
Not a good guy, it turns out. Yikes. So not only do I retract what I said, I will not be saying anything nice about any Survivor contestant without knowing fully what happens to them in their lives and what they do in their lives thereafter. A big yikes from me. And just thank you for your patience with me, because I didn't know everything that happens to everyone. I've been just talking about the challenge as it comes out, but I guess I've been watching current seasons of the challenge, so we kind of know everything
you would
that
have been,
happens.
you would have been aware of what happened just because of social media. But these are episodes that came out over like 20 years ago.
And then Mike comes back for Survivor Philippines, and what he does on the show isn't that bad. It's what he did in real life that was rough. We don't need to talk about it here. I'm ready to move on.
We can only talk about the woman that was also on The Traitors. What's her name?
Sandra. That's right. She was. Well, there was a few Survivor contestants who have been. Parvati was on. The Traitors,
we can talk about Parvati and we can talk about Sandra. Those are my two favorites.
And Sandra's daughter showed up on the Anonymous.
Yeah, and she had to deal with the worst person. Okay, well, I'll talk about it later. Racism in Survivor. Who would have thought?
Oh my God, these earlier seasons of Survivor too. There are things said that I'm like, oh right, this is 2000 and 2001 America.
And people are ignorant as
hell. It was just a different time. A different time where things were okay to say.
Where we were rooting
and
for
weren't
Mike.
okay to say, but people were just saying it, and CBS is like, yeah, we can put this out. It's interesting. I will say it is just interesting to go back and to watch.
I love that now we're like, well, we cannot speak. That it makes complete sense what happened to you. I just didn't think. I'm like, oh yeah.
People were very nice. They're just like, you should know. you should spend some time to look into this.
Could you imagine if you had a Survivor podcast where you're like, I'm not watching a single episode after this season, and I'm watching it currently,
and I'm turning off all my social media. I won't read any comments, and then just
you're like, they have been ruining Mike.
Why are they so mean to him? Anyway.
That is so funny. That's a horrible. I'm not surprised, and I'm sorry that happened to you. I feel like that's a lesson learned for reality TV. When we're rewatching episodes from 2006, we should remember, like, oh yeah, I don't know what was going on around that time.
A lot of odd characters come through the halls of the House of Probst.
House of Probst.
Well, we'll leave it there for this episode of the Sneak Peek. Jess, it's been so great chatting with you. Yeah. Everyone go watch our Wicked breakdown. It's like my favorite video I think we made in 2024.
Oh my God.
It's
and
so
then
good.
If you haven't seen Wicked yet, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you
What
doing?
are you doing? Seeing Gladiator? No, go see Wicked.
Go see Wicked.
And then you can go see Gladiator.
And then go watch Gladiator. What's it called? Glicka de Beppo?
Glicka de Beppo.
Where you see Gladiator, Wicked, and go to Buca de Beppo.
What? Buca de Beppo?
Someone on TikTok did that.
There's no Buca de Beppo near us.
Well, that's the thing. They found out that Buca de Beppo is closing. At City Walk, there was a
City
Buca
Walk,
de Beppo.
Yeah, that's the only one. We're doing Buffalo Wild Wings and Gladiator. So what is it? Get it? Whatever. Don't go see Gladiator.
Well, I was saying that Kelly and I in 2018 did Shrimp to the Spider-Verse. Shrimp to the Bubbaverse, I think is what we called it. We did. We watched Into the Spider-Verse and City Walk, and then went to Bubblegum Shrimp.
That's very cute. That's cute. I will do that. I'll do that.
My wife is afraid of the Bubba mascot. She didn't want to go inside.
It doesn't look like a shrimp at all. I don't know what it is.
Big weird shrimp in a top hat. I don't know how that's connected to Forrest Gump. Everybody, take care of yourselves out there. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons or just Lulu Clemons. And follow me at EA Voss. Subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network for news coverage and breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.